Today, we talk about...
So, how did I get into an accelerated program? Well, good question. Now, there are some caveats to this story, namely the fact that things are much different probably now than they were when I applied in 2004, 2005. So keep that in mind. In addition, there wasn't as much information out as there is now. The internet is a much different place now than it was in 2004, so keep that in mind. So a lot of this information, if you're really serious about pursuing it, you really got to Google it yourself and kind of just talk to other people, find forums. Student Doctor Network, for example, I think used to be a good resource. I don't know if it still is. It was kind of a crapshoot back when I was using it. But anyway, my personal journey. How did I get into an accelerated medical program? So for those that don't know, the way this works is in high school, I applied to medical schools around the country. There's a handful of them that offered a program where you apply to the medical school, and if you get accepted, then they have a program set up with a specific college, usually the college that's associated with that medical school, and you can be guaranteed acceptance to medical school straight out of high school, which is great for some people, not for everybody. Now, this is not a path for everybody, and nor will it be a path for everyone, because some people simply don't even know these kinds of things exist until they get to college or medical school. Some people hear about it and they're like, I don't even know if I really want to go to med school yet or not. So that's another factor. And the other factor you want to consider is the fact that you got to realize when medical schools are offering these kinds of programs, the whole reason they're offering it, at least in my opinion, is because they're trying to capture the cream of the crop early. And what I mean is, if there's someone that's destined to be like a very academically driven person, then they don't really need the accelerated program. And what could happen is you could go to college and have some more, not only personal growth, but additional experiences in life that will allow you to maybe make a more informed decision of what kind of medical school you want to go to, or maybe you want to go to some alternative place that doesn't have an accelerated program. That maybe fits your needs better or is more up to snuff with the kinds of things you have plans for in your future. But the beauty of some of these accelerated programs is not all of them are from top prestige schools. Some of them are. Some of them are Ivy League all the way down to like lower tier medical schools. But the key with the lower tier medical schools that offer these programs, you should take into consideration the fact that, some of them, part of the reason they attract such phenomenal students is because they offer programs like this, and especially when you talk to students who know they really want to be doctors early on, they're not even thinking that far ahead into stuff like this. They just know, hey, I need to get into medical school because it's very difficult, especially nowadays. It's very difficult. So let me get into any one I possibly can and just jump on that opportunity, which I also respect, and to some extent I did the same thing, and I don't regret it from that standpoint, because my lifestyle would have been completely different if I had to actually try to get into medical school out of college instead of already knowing I was in it. So how did I do it? Well, first of all, you got to do well in school, and that's very plain and simple. And I could be one of these YouTubers that go off on a 30-minute video of tips on how to do well in school, but like, come on, guys. I mean, there's already a ton of resources out there, and in my opinion, if you really want something, you will figure it out. So I shouldn't have to sit here and like explain to you how to do well in school. That's something that you either do or you don't want to do, and it doesn't have a lot to do with intelligence, quote unquote, or IQ, quote unquote, or whatever you want to call it, being smart. I've met a lot of dumbasses who are doctors, okay? So I know it's possible to get good grades to be accepted to medical school, okay? So good grades are a no-brainer. Good standardized test scores, SATs, no-brainer. Now, some programs have like a minimum cutoff, and again, you can Google who offers advanced medical programs or find a list through a forum or whatever. It's not that hard to find which schools offer these programs. There's library books out there that talk about this, books on Amazon.com that talk about how to get into advanced medical programs specifically. So those resources exist. So you can look up which colleges and schools offer these programs, and then you can not only compare them, but then you can see like what are their base requirements. So some of them require like a set minimum SAT score, for example. Some of them don't state it, but it's kind of assumed that we're expecting at least whatever, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you got to just do your best, right? So do your best, and then what's really going to set you apart is your experiences throughout high school that tell the medical school, hey, this guy truly wants to be a doctor. Because I was just mentioning in my most recent video that even though my class of people who got into this accepted program was about a class of 16 to 18, I don't remember exactly, by the time we were all set and done, number of them, I want to say almost half of us, either dropped out and switched careers or fell behind and, you know, graduated late. So, you know, that's, I feel like to the school that's a little embarrassing. I wouldn't say that about my fellow colleagues. I think, you know, their paths hopefully led them to their most success, and hopefully more successful than me. But you know, I think for the school themselves, they obviously don't want that to happen to them, to invest their resources into a candidate who ends up, you know, dropping out or whatever. So they really want to know that you're invested in medicine before they accept you. You know, you can't just have good scores. So basically, you know, the things I did that I think set me apart was, you know, I got to thank my dad for this, but Saturday mornings, I didn't want to do jack. But my dad would wake me the F up and tell me, yo, you got to go to this biomechanical or biochemistry micro class mini-series thing on Saturday mornings for like a 4-week, 6-week period. And, you know, at our local college, actually the same college I ended up going to, which was associated with this medical school, they would have like these special science type programs for high school students, middle school students, and my dad would look for these because he also went to the school. It was RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and the medical school I went to was Albany Medical College, so they were tied together. And my dad also went to RPI, so he was kind of well aware of these little programs going on, and he'd be like, hey, you can get your ass to these classes. Not because he was forcing me to go into medical school. You know, my dad and my mom are engineers. Like, they don't know jack about medicine. But they just wanted me and my sister to be successful, so they were like, hey, you're not going to sleep in on your Saturdays. You are going to go do something productive, and whatever it is. You know, I could have made my own suggestions and he would be open to it, but I didn't have any suggestions. My suggestion was stay home and watch cartoons. And he's like, nope. So, and of course at the time I hated him for it, right? But I got to thank him for it now because, I mean, not only now, but back then, because if it wasn't for those on my resume when I was applying to medical school, they might not have taken me as seriously. But that wasn't the only thing. I think the more major thing that helped me get into medical school in high school was I did, and again, I was just lucky to have this opportunity. Not everyone does, but there was a, my senior year of high school, there was this special program that was offered to our high school where it was called New Visions. And it was basically this program that allowed you to do your senior year of high school at the local hospital. And basically I would do my entire day at the hospital, and they would incorporate like an English credit, a social studies credit, and like some other blah, blah, blah credits on top of obviously all your science credits. And you'd basically have a healthcare emphasized clinical coursework for your senior year of high school. And again, just to make this a little bit more personalized, or even more so personalized, I was fully prepared to graduate high school a year early. I'd done a ton of summer school. You know, I didn't have any friends in high school, man. Like, I was just going through the motions, just trying to do the best possible because I had made that decision to want to go to medical school. And I knew I wanted to apply to these programs towards the end of medical school, so, and definitely into high school. So I was just like, all right, I got to bust my ass, get all these good grades. And ideally, because I was so miserable and just like tortured in high school, that I wanted to get out as quick as possible. So, you know, I tried to graduate a year early, but, you know, and I applied to one of the advanced programs my junior year of high school, and I didn't get in. And I did it as an early decision type thing, because I was like, yo, if I can get in, and it was Brown University, one of the Ivy Leagues. So I was like, yo, if I can get in, let alone early decision, I'm taking it. Like, I can't do better than this. At least I thought at the time. Didn't get in. And I think a lot of that obviously had to do with the fact that I was a junior. But yeah, so, you know, I was like, all right, well, instead of risking it and applying to the rest of the programs at the end of this year, let's just take a step back, you know, really beef up this resume and then apply again for real, because I only get one more shot at this. After that, I'm out of high school. I can't get into an advanced program. Although, let me pause right there and just mention, there are some advanced programs that if you're already in college, don't despair. There are some colleges that do offer these guaranteed admission programs to medical school once you're a freshman there. And actually some of them don't even allow you to apply to their program until you go to their college as a freshman. So they want to make sure that you want to go to that college to begin with. But then you have to like take the risk of not getting into that college or not getting into that medical school and being not stuck, but like basically you've already committed at least your freshman year to being at that college. So I don't know about transferring credits and like going through the trauma of like going to a new college after the freshman year, which is like such a key year in my opinion to like adjust from high school and meet new friends and like really make those lifelong connections potentially. So all those factors come into play. So ideally, if you're looking to do this, try and do this in the high school route and kind of avoid those programs that accept you out of college. But for those that don't know about it or didn't have as good of a high school resume or whatever, then this could be your second opportunity if you're at one of those colleges where they offer this kind of thing. Anyway, so where was I? So I was like, yo, I only get one more shot at this. Let me really beef up my resume. So my senior year, I was able to do this program. And not only that, but I'd already basically completed all the rest of my requirements for high school graduation because I was prepared to graduate as a junior. And so I left like one credit off just so they wouldn't force me to graduate. And then I completed that credit as a senior. And then otherwise, I was just doing that healthcare program. And that was the thing that impressed the interviewers the most when I was going around doing my interviews. So I interviewed at University of Miami's program, and interviewed at the RPI, Albany Med program, and they were associated with the Union College as well. And I got into Union College and RPI's program, so I had a decision to make between both, but that's a whole nother story. Didn't get into Miami's program, which actually was a 6-year program, not a 7-year program, meaning 4 years of medical school regardless, but then plus 2 years, so 6 years at University of Miami was an option. Some programs around the country are an 8-year program, meaning 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school. Some places in the country are a 7-year program, 3 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and some places are 6-year programs, 2 years of college. The 2-year programs are a little bit miserable from what I've heard from people that have gone through it because you have literally no life. Like your entire course loads are all crunched into 2 years. You have no summers off. You're taking all these summer classes to really crunch in all these requirements to graduate so that you can go to medical school. And so now you're showing up even younger, even less like life informed because you're just stuck studying all day or like in classes and never getting a break to like, explore and do other things, travel abroad, experience clubs and student government or whatever else you're interested in, sports. And, for some people they don't care about that kind of thing and they want to just kind of go straight through and by all means, God bless. But in my opinion, in some regards, I'm like, damn, it'd be nice to be even a year younger, but that's because I'm sitting here now. On the other end of the spectrum, it's like, damn, it's kind of nice that I, got 3 years instead of 2, and damn, I wish I got 4 years instead of 3 because, those 4 years of college were just so special. And I didn't even go to that nice of a college as far as student life goes. D3 sports, student life was atrocious. The guy to girl ratio was like 3 to 1, if not worse, I think at some point. So yeah, it was just like the dynamic at my college was very, very odd, but it was still one of the best times of my life. Made some great connections with a lot of great friends that I still have to this day. But anyway, so yeah, that New Vision's healthcare program I think was the biggest help for me. So if you can find a program like that or something similar to that allows you to get as much exposure to healthcare related fields as possible, that's going to be your best bet. And don't forget, I didn't have connections with doctors. Or anyone in the family that knew, they knew doctors, but it wasn't like a thing where I could like shadow doctors. I think I shadowed a couple doctors in middle school or high school, I think, but it's like such a weird experience. It was like a day thing and it wasn't very helpful, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not like I asked them for recommendation letters or anything. So, if you have a close connection with a doctor or someone in the family that could help you. A family member might not be as helpful, to be honest with you, with the whole nepotism thing. But, through them, if you can find a connection that can be helpful, that's, it's better than nothing. Volunteering, another great opportunity. I did do some volunteering in several hospitals locally during middle school and high school. So that was also helpful, I'm sure. Not only just for your application, but guys, you really got to make sure you want to do medicine before you enter one of these programs. Like, I questioned myself once I was deep into the throes of medical school. Like, do I really belong here? Do I really want to be a doctor? Like, I was starting to question it so hard because I really didn't sit down to think about it before I got there. I was just consumed with just being a doctor, and I never gave it any other thought. I didn't watch medical shows, so it wasn't even like that was a big influence on me. I didn't, I just was like, yep, that's what I want to do, and I'm going to set my mind to it and blinders on, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's it. And in some regards, it was not the best thing to do, because, you know, if I had at least questioned, like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? You know, I'm not saying I would have switched careers, but because I am very happy where I'm at now. But you know, that doubt I was going through throughout the whole time was just like, damn. So anyway, that's the way I got into medical school. And then, of course, you know, I would imagine I interviewed well. So, you know, you got to make sure not to be a chump. You know, and just read countless articles online of how to do interviews well. It's like almost like taking a test, like an oral exam. Like, there's certain things that are clearly things you don't talk about, and there's clearly some things that you make sure to talk about, and there's clearly some tips of how to prepare for these interviews. So if you're not studying that the way you would study for all these other tests you've done to like get to that point, to even be offered an interview, then you don't deserve to be in that program, let's be honest. It's just another step, and it's just like, it's semi-robotic, because it's like you almost see the questions coming. But on some level, you just have to like be comfortable in your own skin to be able to handle that kind of thing. But then again, you know, with the colleagues I had going through my peer group in this program, like a few of them just like very socially awkward people. So I don't think it's like a hindrance to get in. So don't be overwhelmed if you're like a, quote, socially awkward person. I mean, to some extent, I'm a very socially awkward person. You know, lack of camera shyness, regardless. You know, just my general well-being, general mental well-being, especially back when I started this entire journey. Freaking, what now? This was, how long ago was the age of 17? This was 14 years ago, nearly a decade and a half ago. I mean, if I'm this goofy and immature now, imagine what the fuck I was as a 17-year-old. Anyway, so yeah, don't be discouraged. If you really want to do it, go for it. And I hope this has been helpful for you. But if you have any additional questions about it, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them, or do like a follow-up video if you want to just like leave comments in the comment section. And yeah, you know, it's been a while, and like I said, you know, you really just do your homework. If you really want to do it, you'll find a way to do it. Anyone I've ever met who really wanted to do something ended up doing it, regardless of their circumstances. I mean, obviously certain extenuating circumstances as far as mental health, physical health, you know, family issues and this and that. Obviously some things are going to hold you back from your full potential every once in a while, but everyone kind of has something they're going through at some point or other in their life. So, you know, at the end of the day, all things considered, anyone I've known who wanted to do something bad enough found a way to do it, because that's really what they wanted. And that's about it. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye.